Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Lone Wolf. And yes, it's very cold tonight, so I'm wearing an extra pair of socks. It won't be cold in the adventure where we are headed into the warm desert land of Vassagonia. And the coldness in my ankles is kind of wishing I could go there now. Although, maybe not. So first off, this map overlaps here in terms of where all the maps go. So we have Kalt to the north, Sommerlund and Ruanon, and then to the southeast of Sommerlund we have Vassagonia. So I'm just plumping it over here for now. Right, let's go about that far in so we can see most of the map. Okay. Now, it's been a little bit longer than usual since the last book. Normally I like to take a week off for, for a bit of a break between books. But then Christmas happened and then, New Year's Eve is technically a few hours behind us now. And we're in the middle of the night. It'll be New Year's Day. Well, basically in the morning, but you can kind of count it now in the middle of the night if you want to be pedantic after midnight. So, this feels like a natural evolution of the story. In the previous book, a theoretically rogue Vassagonian warlord had invaded the southern portion of Sommerlund and was rampaging around with his warband, intending on capturing a woman of noble blood to sacrifice, to raise one of the Dark Lords up from the dead in the Maaken Gorge. Obviously, as he was a personage of significant political status within Vassagonia, there is the heavy implication that it may have been a state-sanctioned action. This is rather similar to the first book of the Chronicles of Narnia, which Americans always ignore, The Horse and His Boy. It lies between The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and Prince Caspian. And it's a really good read, actually. It's a good adventure. I don't know why the Americans always ignore that one. They also tend to ignore The Silver Chair, The Magician's Nephew, and The Last Battle. Although they seem to have finally acknowledged The Silver Chair recently because a film is being made. I don't know if it's out yet or not. Now, let me see. One moment. It's interesting. They've left it so long that they will have to recast one of the characters who was in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader because his actor is supposed to be maybe a year or two older, and the actor's going to be, 10, 15, 20 years older? It's just not going to work, Okay, so, because this could be state-sanctioned, the government is either going to have to deny it heavily or escalate to all-out war and go, you found us, okay, now we're going to send in the rest of the army too. So let's see how things are going to go. In terms of memories of this book, I have less memories from this book than I do of the previous book. Most of my memories of this book seem to come from the second half. And, in fact, this book is split into two halves, and at the end of part one, you're explicitly told, now go to part two. And it's two separate adventures. Well, it's really one adventure, but with a break in the middle. It's split into two acts. And as the nights are growing significantly colder recently, and tonight we only had one log and some kindling to put on the fireplace, I may be recording a bit less in the cold nights unless I can get a few extra blankets, some warmer clothes, find some cold weather socks. I know I've got some lying around somewhere, like proper thick woolly socks, not sort of thin summery things, or something in between, but heavy duty footwear, At least. And maybe wrap another blanket around my shoulders. Anyway. Because of the cold, there may be sniffling. You are Lone Wolf, last of the Kai Lords of Sommerlund, and sole survivor of the massacre that destroyed them during a bitter war with your age-old enemies, the Dark Lords of Helgadad. It is midwinter in your northern homeland, and a mantle of snow lies knee-deep in the streets of Holmgard, the capital, when you are summoned from your monastery in the hills by a messenger bearing a scroll, signalled and signed and sealed by the hand of King Ulnar. You are surprised to read the king's message, for it is a request for your help in solving an urgent problem of what he describes as great diplomatic importance. It seems a strange request to make of a warrior lord whose skills are better suited to the field of battle than to parleying with foreign envoys. However, you obey the summons, and upon your arrival at the capital, all is made clear. The Zakhan of Vassagonia, the imperial ruler of this desert empire, has sent his most trusted envoy to seek a treaty of peace between your two countries, and you have been asked to sign the treaty on behalf of your country. The reason for this is easily apparent. Less than a year ago, a renegade noble of Vassagonia called Barraka led his army of bandits in an attack against the Sommlending province of Ruanon. This mining town and much of the surrounding land was overrun and destroyed. Many Sommlending lost their lives, and many more were enslaved and forced to labour in the mines of the Maaken Range. When the regular convoy from Ruanon failed to arrive at the capital, the king sent you to investigate. A great battle ensued, in which you defeated Barraka in mortal combat. No idiot shouted the words Mortal Kombat really loudly, and no bad music played. Without your courage and skill, the safety of Sommerlund and all of the Lastlands would have been placed in grave peril. Your Majesty, the Zakhan is gravely embarrassed by Baraka's foul treachery, and is most anxious that our friendship and trust be restored. He begs that you send the Kai warrior Lone Wolf to sign a treaty of peace with him at the Grand Palace in Barrakeesh, whimpers the Zakhan's emissary as he kneels at the feet of King Ulnar. The king rises from his throne, barely able to conceal his distaste for the fawning envoy. He turns his gaze to you and bids you follow him to the privacy of an antechamber. That is explicitly distaste for the fawning envoy, not distaste for the Vassagonians as a nation or people. It's this individual who's being particularly obsequious. I have no liking for this desert realm, no Lone Wolf, but I like the prospect of war even less. The Zakhan is old and frail and has no son to claim his throne when he dies. Baraka was but one of many ruthless nobles who wait like jackals for the chance to seek power, and I fear they grow too impatient to allow the Zakhan to die a natural death. The treaty may not guarantee peace with Vassagonia once the Zakhan is dead, but it will at least buy us precious time to strengthen our southern border. The king leads you to a window and points towards the harbour, barely visible through the falling snow. A Vassagonian galley lies anchored close to the harbour wall. Go to Vassagonia, Lone Wolf. Sign the treaty and return quickly. Even with the promise of peace, I fear the shadow of war will fall upon us before the year is out. You wave farewell to Holmgard on this bleak midwinter's day, feeling sure you will return before the thaw. But as you watch the spires of Holmgard disappear in the falling snow, you have no inkling of the shadow that awaits you in Vassagonia. We can skip over the game rules and Kai disciplines. Oh! Shouldn't we have an extra... Wait. Am I in the wrong folder? There we go. An extra discipline. Come on, there's stuff in this. It shouldn't take this long to open. There we go. We took mind over matter, which is exactly what I wanted. We shall restore endurance points. And I should probably go with my idea of putting the final in brackets or something. There we are. Again, was cut. Wait. Equipment. Aha, good. Before leaving Holmgard on your voyage to the Vassagonian capital of Barrakeesh, you are given a map of the Desert Empire and a pouch of gold. You know what? Might as well write it down. It's the usual D10 plus 9, essentially. So we're going to do just that. Okay. 11. Fine, we rolled a 2. That will, however, take us up to 41 gold crowns of the 50 limit we can have in our pouch. I'm sure they will come in useful at some point. But we really didn't have to worry too much about losing all our money in Book 2. Not that we did, because we died and had to replay, but anyway, that's beside the point. You may take your pick of the following items, in addition to those you already possess, but remember you may only carry 2 weapons. You may take up to 4 of the following. A dagger. We already have a dagger. It is very magical and very evil. A potion of Lawnspur. A normal one for 4. Our pack is already full. We won't need that torch again. Or the tinderbox, as we have the fire sphere from Calt. A sword, a spear, 2 special rations, which are meals. You know what? We will be possibly travelling through desert areas. We may need food. A mace, a shield. I believe we already have a shield, but this is another opportunity to obtain one. Yes, shield. In that case, I'll just take 2 meals. But wait. If we do not eat a meal, we will suffer 3 points of endurance. And then we could just drink a potion of Lawnspur and regain 4. Oh, bugger. Misclicked. It's like Huel. Stuff we can carry, yeah. We can skip the combat rules. Levels of Kai training we have now at the Savant level. I have said as a house rule that at the end of this book, when we complete our Kai training and begin the Magna Kai training, I will give myself the final Kai discipline that I would have missed out on, because we're supposed to have got them all. And yes, I'm aware that 5 Magna Kai disciplines is worth far more than 1 Kai discipline, but as you're always asked, like, hey, you know, you can always use the lesser ones if you have the greater. You are assumed to have them, and so I just chuck it in there anyway, because it makes no sense for it to not be there. Your mission is one of peaceful diplomacy, but beware. The Desert Empire of Vassagonia is notorious for being a land of deceit and treachery. Be on your guard at all times. Also, make notes as you progress, as you will find they will be of great help in future adventures. Many things that you find will aid you during your adventure. Some special items will be of use in future Lone Wolf adventures, and others may be red herrings of no real use at all. So be selective in what you decide to keep. If this is your first Lone Wolf adventure, it's not. Successful completion of previous Lone Wolf adventures, although an advantage, because the summer sword from book 2 is absolutely massive, is not essential for the completion of this book, but is a significant advantage. And my ankle's still cold even through 2 layers of socks. That is not good. May the spirits of your Kai masters guide you on your perilous adventure. Good luck. For 25 days the Vassagonian galley sails on a steady course for its home port of Barrakeesh, which has a name not entirely dissimilar to that of Marrakesh. The double E is probably there to stop it being Barrakesh and extremely obvious, with only a brief stop at the Duranese harbour of Port Bax to break a safe but monotonous voyage. You use your time aboard the ship to good purpose, learning the Vassagonian language from the ship's crew. They are only too eager to teach you, asking only in return tales of your adventures in the Lastlands. For many of the sailors, these are the most exciting stories they have ever heard. By the time you reach Barrakeesh, you have both mastered their language and won their respect. It is early afternoon when the ramparts of the desert city capital are first sighted on the horizon. You push your way through the cheering crew and join the envoy at the prow of the ship. Beaming with pride, he hands you a telescope and invites you to view the land of his birth. The sight is indeed breathtaking. You stare in fascination at the golden domes, minarets, and green-tiled roofs shimmering beneath the desert sun, and marvel at the splendour of the grand palace which dominates this magnificent city. Then you notice that from every golden turret of the palace flutters a long black pennant. You ask the envoy the meaning of the black flags. Horror floods across his face as he snatches the telescope from your hands. "By the spirit of Majan, he is dead! The Zakhan is dead!" Then it seems our arrival has been most untimely indeed. As the bad news spreads through the ship, you pray that the peace treaty will be signed and honoured by the Zakhan's successor. However, the envoy is less than hopeful. The harbour of Barrakeesh is deserted, save for a handful of citizens clad in black, and the only sound that greets you is the toll of a funeral bell echoing from through the harbour on this day of mourning. Then a horse-drawn carriage enters the harbour square, escorted by the cavalry of the palace guard. It halts, and a dour man in turquoise robes steps out to meet you. "1,000 greetings, Lone Wolf. I am Mauk, and I welcome you to our city on behalf of my master, his most sublime magnificence, Zakhan Kima." The envoy gasps upon hearing the name of the new Zakhan. He turns to speak, his eyes wild with fear. "It's a trap! You must—" His warning is cut short by the blade of Mauk's dagger. Suddenly, scores of black-clad warriors emerge from the shadows. They are Shah Nazim, elite Vassagonian bodyguards. They close in, surrounding you on every side. You must act quickly if you are to survive this deadly trap. Now, this explains why the square was so empty. The harbour of Barrakeesh is deserted, save for a handful of citizens clad in black. Yet they're in mourning, but also they could be Shah Nazim as well. But essentially, the fact that it was so empty made it feel like a trap. We could stand and fight against these overwhelming odds, we could surrender to Mauk and his warriors, or run back to the galley. I don't think the ship is likely to sail away as soon as we get on it. The crew won't necessarily have orders and won't be ready to sail. However, it's better than staying here and fighting. If we surrender, which is a viable option, I seem to recall this is a much less favourable option. The first part of this adventure is flight and escape. If we surrender, we lose all our stuff and we have to break out and escape. I don't think we get to recover everything. We may get to recover some things. I don't think major things like the summer sword are lost, but a lot of our items are gone for good. And we have a hard time trying to sneak our way out of the palace. I think trying to fight is a death trap. Let's run back to the vessel. "Take him!" shouts Mauk. "But take him alive!" They must want me for a reason, like a political prisoner. They have the greatest hero of Sommerlund, the neighbouring country with whom they have practically been at war, in their grasp. They're not going to let me go anytime soon. You sprint towards the distant galley. The crew is still unaware of the desperate situation. They have not witnessed the murder of the envoy and are still oblivious to your peril. Before you can shout for help, a horseman cuts across your path, blocking your access to the ship. We could attack the horseman, escape by diving into the sea, or surrender. I'm going to dive into the sea. You hit the water and swim submerged until the pain in your lungs forces you to surface. Shanazim are running in every direction, trying to surround the quay and prevent your escape. Gulping another breath, you dive again and swim towards a cluster of small boats less than 50 yards away. Through the clear blue water it is easy to see the rubbish that litters the bed of the harbour, mementos of all the merchant ships that have docked at the quayside. Clinging to one old anchor is a strange, jelly-like blob. A mass of short tubes sticks out from all its sides, and a long, hook-like scoop hangs beneath its blubbery body. Without warning, the blob suddenly jets towards you, propelled by water from its mass of breathing tubes. It is a bloodlug, and it is hungry for your flesh. However, we do have the Kai discipline of animal kinship. In all fairness, we have most of them at this point. The only thing we don't have is weapon skill, but we have a ridiculously powerful weapon. You use your Kai discipline to force the creature away. The bloodlug changes direction and jets towards a squid that has taken refuge in a large copper urn. You continue swimming, but keep a watchful eye on the bloodlug as it engulfs and devours the helpless squid. You surface beside a covered skiff. Anxious to avoid the scavengers in the waters of Barrakeesh harbour, you haul yourself aboard and hide beneath the boat's canopy of woven rushes. You are breathless from your swim, but you dare not make a sound. Mauk's men are everywhere, racing along the harbour walls, their eyes searching the water for any sign of you. If you're to escape, you must think of something to divert their attention. We do have the Kai discipline of mind over matter, and this is one of my few memories from the first portion of this book. As you stare out across the harbour, you notice a large, white-domed warehouse near to the water's edge. A platform on the upper floor overhangs a merchant dhow moored at the quay below. On this platform are several earthenware turns, huge spice containers destined for the trading emporia of Ragadan. Ragadan being in eastern Sommerlund, near the border with Ruanon. You focus your attention on one of these tons and concentrate all your Kai skill into making it move. Sweat pours down your face from the strain, but you soon hear a distant crash that confirms your success. The ton has fallen and shattered on the deck of the dhow. Mauk orders his black-clad warriors to search the area, threatening them with death if they allow you to escape. You bite your lip and wait for a chance to run. Creeping from one boat to the next, you reach a narrow flight of stone steps. At the top of the steps, beyond a small paved square, lies a maze of crooked alleyways that disappear into the shadows of the thieves' quarter. You are less than 20 feet from safety when a cry echoes across the water. "There he is!" You sprint along the deserted passage and climb a... Yes, it's not a desert passage, it's a deserted passage. You sprint along the deserted passage and climb a stairway into an open courtyard. The sound of hooves clattering on the cobblestones below urges you onwards. There are 3 possible exits from the courtyard. A high, nail-studded gate to the left, an alley to your right, and a straight paved pathway that leads to an arch. You must make a quick decision, for Mauk's men are close at your heels. We could acknowledge the fact we have the Kai discipline of tracking and go for it. Your Kai sense warns you that the alley is a dead end. If you take that exit from the square, you are certain to be trapped. Only 2 other choices remain. A high, nail-studded gate to your left, or the path directly ahead. Let's go through the gate, because if we can close it quick enough, they may expect we haven't taken the time to open it, and will pour on down the main path. You twist the handle, but the gate is locked. You are about to turn and run when suddenly the gate flies open. A man stands in the doorway. "Quickly, Northlander! I will hide you!" The man steps back to allow you to enter. We will, but be on our guard. This may be a trap. The man slams the gate and draws the bolt. Seconds later, you hear the footfalls of the Shah Nazim as they rush into the courtyard. "Go inside," whispers the man, pointing to the darkened interior of his house. "I shall get rid of the soldiers," or he will tell them exactly where we are in hope of a reward. You enter the house and climb a staircase to a large, airy room which looks out over a marketplace. Good, there's a window. Long black flags hang from the windows of a hall opposite, and the sounds of mourning can be heard through its open doors. We do have the Kai discipline of sixth sense. Your Kai sense tells you to beware of the man who helped you. He intends to betray you for a purse of silver. We will not stay in the house. We shall escape by the window. You drop to the street below and run across the marketplace towards the hall. The building is full of people kneeling in prayer. You notice an avenue leading off to the right, which ends at an archway too narrow for more than one horse to pass. To your left, another alley leads down to the harbour. If we enter the hall, we may be able to hide ourselves in the crowd. That being said, we are a foreigner who stands out a mile without a disguise. We can go through the archway to the right, which would restrict cavalry, right, and slow our pursuers. Left goes back to the harbour. By now, the ship is not an option. It will have been surrounded by guards. They're not going to let us go back that way. There's nothing we can really do until the pursuit has died down in regards to getting a ship out of here. We'll have to find another way. We do have plenty of food. We might have to cut through the desert in order to survive. I have a really strong feeling that entering the hall is actually the best thing to do and hope to hide in a crowd. You raise the hood of your cloak and hurry through the open doors into the dark, cool hall. The people are kneeling in front of a pulpit where a holy man dressed in flowing robes of black and gold reads aloud from a gem-encrusted book. Behind him, the face of the late Zakhan, immortalized in a tapestry suspended from a roof by huge silken cords, looks down on the mourners. The congregation is wrapped in prayer and no one sees you enter. The ceremony soon comes to an end and you're able to slip past Mauk's men as the mourners flood into the streets. You enter a wide street where vendors compete for space for their stalls beneath the overhanging balconies. The market is crowded with people. Each wear a black sash as a mark of respect to their dead Zakhan, but here, unlike in most of Barrakeesh, business continues as usual. You pass a stall festooned with black sashes, each costing 2 gold crowns. If you wish to buy a sash, pay the vendor and mark it on your action chart as a special item, which you wear over your tunic. Look, I'm going to do that. Because not wearing one will look highly suspicious. And in fact, wearing one may give the impression we've been in the country longer than we actually have. You hurry away from the stall and dodge into a narrow passage lined with eating houses and small taverns where the smell of food is mingled with the odour of stale wine, and the air is alive with chatter and gossip. Your attention is drawn to a notice freshly pasted to a tavern wall. The bold headline reads, "The Zakhan is dead. Long live the Zakhan." I will stop and read the poster, although this does feel like I'm coming to a good ending point for the episode. The poster is written from right to left in Vassagonian script. The time you spent learning the language aboard the Vagali was well spent, for you have little difficulty in translating the proclamation. His most illustrious Majesty, Zakhan Mudala the Exalted, has passed into the realm of the Marjan. May his spirit never die. By the grace of the Council of Kadi, the Funtal of Karakala, and the Juzdisar of Barrakeesh, it is decreed that Kima, Emir of Farufazan, protector of the dry main, shall by right claim the throne of Vassagonia. Through the unity of the 7 cities he will lead his people to greatness. Long may he reign. A scuffle breaks out at the end of the passage as a handful of Shah Nazim try to push their way through the crowd. In the confusion, a fruit stall is overturned and its owner curses the clumsy soldiers at the top of his voice. There is a sudden silence. The luckless man has been beheaded for his insolence. You turn and run, splashing through the shallow drainage channel, running the length of the foul passage. And that is a good stopping point. I'm going to end the episode here, as Lone Wolf does a very good Indiana Jones impression, running away from foreigners in a hot desert land in a big capital city. I hope you all enjoyed this one, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in the very next episode. I'll say goodbye for now, though, and cheery well. Cheery well! Yes, cheery well. It's like a Bakewell tart, but really, really happy and cheery and positive. Beaming with pride. So, yeah. Farewell for now. See you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.